What up, world? Established Rich coming right back at you. And today, we got to talk about Floyd Mayweather facing 2 felony charges over an alleged $200,000 bad check for a luxury watch. And I know how crazy that sounds when you say the name Floyd Mayweather. This is the same man who built his whole public life around money, watches, jets, cars, bags, jewelry, and making the world believe he could buy anything without blinking. That is why this story hits different, because it don't sound like a man who never made money. This sounds like a man who may have created a lifestyle so big that even the money could not keep feeding the image.
Boxing champ Floyd Mayweather Jr. is facing 2 felony charges. Prosecutors allege Mayweather wrote a check back in 2024 to the tune of $200,000 to purchase a high-end watch. The problem, they claim he knew he didn't have the funds to back it up. If convicted on the felony theft charge, he could face up to 20 years in prison and thousands of dollars in fines. Mayweather is also facing other financial issues, including owing more than $7 million in back taxes. Now, Mayweather's attorneys told ESPN that this matter does not belong in the criminal courts, and they say he looks forward to being vindicated through the court proceedings. He is coming out of retirement later this month to box in Greece.
Floyd has not been convicted of anything, and his attorney is saying there was no intent to defraud anybody. They're saying this should have been civil business, not a criminal case. That part matters. But even if Floyd beats this case, the question still remains. How did Floyd Mayweather even get connected to an alleged bad check over a watch? We ain't talking about a man trying to pay rent. We're talking about a man who has made hundreds of millions of dollars and turned the word money into his whole identity. That's why I don't think this is just about one check. To me, this looks like a man who has a spending addiction. And I know that sounds crazy to a lot of y'all because we never think about spending being an addiction. But everybody has a vice. Some people gamble, some people drink, some people eat, some people chase women, some people buy things because buying things is the only way they feel powerful, safe, important, and in control. I'm not diagnosing Floyd. I don't know what's in that man's spirit or his heart. But when a person keeps buying, keeps flexing, keeps performing wealth, and keeps holding on to the image even when the cracks start showing, that looks like something deeper than just bad accounting. Addiction don't stop just because you start losing things. That's why it's called addiction. An alcoholic can lose his whole family and still pick up the bottle. A gambler can lose a house and still go right back to the table. And a spender can watch the debt, the lawsuits, the tax issues, and the embarrassment pile up, but still need that next watch because buying that watch gives him a feeling he can't find nowhere else in life. That's the part people miss. The watch is not always about the watch. Sometimes the watch is medicine for the ego. Sometimes the car is medicine for the insecurity. Sometimes the private jet is medicine for a man who never wants to feel small again. And Floyd Mayweather built a whole character around never looking small.
So I just got a little tip the other day. You said 50 tried to help. I just got a little tip the other day. Here's what was said. Let me pull it up. Hold on for a second. So, you know, they got this shop in LA. Maybe somebody will know the name of the shop. It's a pawn shop, but it's a bank. Okay. So apparently Floyd Mayweather has been frequenting both. So he's been selling his watches and his chains for cash because he is apparently strapped. That's the reason why Yaya, as we told you last week, is coming out saying that she about to get a job working 3 days a week at Starbucks. Let me pull up the receipt that I have here. Hold on, because this is one. So apparently he's going down there to the pawn shop. I forgot the name of the pawn shop, but the pawn shop is a bank, and upstairs you go, you pawn whatever you got, and then you come downstairs to the bank, and then they give you the money to make it seem like you're not going broke. But only the broke and the rich and famous that go up in there knows who's broke and who's not. And then there's another pawn shop that they're going to. Give me a second. You know how I am now. I'm just, oh, Lord Jesus. Let me pull it up. Give me a second, y'all. I done screenshot so much stuff today. Give me a second, y'all. I wish we had some show music that we can run while I be looking for receipts. Okay, so somebody emailed me and said they seen Floyd in the pawn shop several times here in Las Vegas buying his family jewelry at Max Pawn. Now, they have a pawn money team necklace in there right now. Okay. Now, he was looking pretty rough, talking about no pictures when he walked in. Nobody wanted a pic with his dusty behind.
If that is true, then this is not just a financial detail. That is a warning sign. Pawning jewelry does not automatically mean a person is broke. But it does mean cash may be tighter than the image suggests. And that is where rich people get trapped. You can have assets everywhere and still not have enough liquid cash to keep the machine moving. You can have cars, watches, jewelry, real estate, and a jet. But if your lifestyle needs money every day, then those assets start turning into collateral. Now the things that made you look rich are being used to help you stay liquid. That is a different kind of pressure. And I think that's what the sadness of this story really is. Floyd beat everybody in the ring, but he may not have been able to beat Money Mayweather. The character sold fights. The character made him famous on another level. The character made people hate him enough to pay to watch him lose. But when the fight slowed down, the character did not retire. Money Mayweather needed the world to believe that the money never got low, the cash never got tight, and the lifestyle never needed to be reconsidered. That is how a brand can become a prison. Because once the world knows you as money, you feel like you got to keep proving it. And proving it is expensive. That is why this story don't feel like just another celebrity money story. This feels like a man who may have been trying to outspend the fear of not being seen the same way anymore.
Because Floyd's significant amount of income comes from him boxing and he's been retired, if he doesn't get a fight or some exhibition where he's getting paid a shit ton of money, essentially what ends up happening is that he has assets, but he doesn't have a lot of cash. When he gets into debt, he'll take out loans against his assets, which might be a watch, might be a plane, might be anything. And that's how he's been trying to survive until he could get the next lick. What's the next lick? Remember, he hasn't set up his business where he's getting like a ton of residual income passively. Most of his licks, quote unquote, are going to come from him being in the ring, which, you know, how much could he still fight at this point, right? What he needs right now is a smooth $50 million. $50 million probably brings him out the hole. How could he get the $50 million? He has to go fight, right? A Pacquiao fight or a Tyson fight, that does it. Now, if he gets out the hole, he has to make sure he doesn't get back in the hole. But apparently his way of life and how he spends and how he doesn't like to downsize and all of the bills that he's going to continually have, he's going to be back in the same position again, which is mind-boggling if you ask me.
Now the picture starts looking different. When you hear about loans against a jet, loans against cars, loans against jewelry, and assets being used to create cash flow, then this is no longer just about one watch. This is about a lifestyle that may be eating itself. And that is what happens when the image gets stronger than the discipline. Floyd Mayweather made money at a level most athletes will never touch. But making money and being free from money are two different things. If you need to keep buying things to feel like yourself, then you are not free. If you need the world to keep seeing you spend money, then you are not free. If the character needs more cash than the real man can comfortably produce, you are not free. That's why I keep coming back to addiction. Not to excuse him. If he did something wrong, he has to deal with that in court. But because this pattern doesn't make sense unless the man is chasing a feeling that he can't get nowhere else. The money may have been real. The success was real. The boxing greatness was real. But the appetite looks real too. And an appetite with no limit can make $1 billion feel like a bridge loan. That is the lesson in this. More money does not fix an uncontrolled appetite. More money just gives that appetite a bigger house to tear up. Floyd Mayweather did not lose in the ring, but life doesn't always fight fair. Sometimes life comes back through tax liens, lawsuits, loans, collateral, bad check allegations, and a lifestyle that won't stop asking to be fed. And that may be the fight Floyd never trained for. Because the hardest thing for a man like Floyd is not buying the watch. The hardest thing may be walking away from the watch and being okay with people thinking he couldn't buy it. That is where the real discipline is. Not in having money and not needing to prove you have money. And if this situation doesn't teach people anything else, it should teach them this. A man can be rich and still be controlled by what he thinks rich is supposed to look like. And when the image becomes more important than peace, even money can start looking like he's running from the bill. But hey, that's just my opinion. What's yours? Like, comment, subscribe, establish rich. I'll be back with another one. Peace.